Alright, so I want to do one last video before we get into tonight's hockey, which is, of course, Boston and Carolina. Looking forward to that. I've got my Carolina. Well, this is Prince George. Right, because I'm talking about the draft. So, I've talked about the draft class before, of course. We did the mock draft after the lottery, right? And the mock draft that I put on the board for you fine people, very similar to the mock draft that a lot of people were doing after that. Interesting thing. Two big changes in the last month. Bowen Byram of the Vancouver Giants is going to be gone at 3. By all indications, it looks like he has rocketed to number 3 from where he was early in the year. Early in the year, he looked like he might have been 6th, 7th, maybe even 8th. It looks like he's 3. Just from how well he's playing for the Vancouver Giants. He is putting up tremendous totals. And when you look at where Chicago's at, if they can get a defenseman who looks like he's going to be dynamite sooner rather than later, Bowen Byram might just be it. And I know there's going to be Chicago fans that say, well, we got Boqvist coming up and you got Yoki Haru. And you know what? You can't have too many defensemen. That's just not a thing in the NHL. You can't have too many defensemen. At the same time, Podkolzin, and I've seen 2 different mock drafts now. I believe Sportsnet was one I was reading yesterday, and now today it's Craig Button of TSN. We have Podkolzin dropping all the way out of the top 10. And apparently he came out of the Ivan Holinka tournament. He looked great. Everybody's saying this guy's going to be awesome. And then playing against men, he was kind of meh. So he's still a first rounder. He's still projected to go in the middle of the first round, but he could go as low as 13th, 14th, 15th. I think it shows the volatility of this draft outside of the top 2. Hughes and Kakko, now it's a 1A, 1B scenario more than a first and second draft pick, although I still see people saying they like what Kakko brings, but Hughes is probably still the guy to go first overall. The fact that Podkolzin can drop this quickly is a sign of just how difficult it is to scout kids when they're 17, 18 years of age. And this is something I've said about, when people say, oh, this guy got drafted before this was a huge mistake, what were they thinking? This is part of it. The team that ends up drafting Podkolzin, maybe there's some reason why he has struggled in the second half of his draft year, and maybe after he gets drafted, that all gets worked out, and the next thing you know, he is a star player, and everybody looks like a fool that didn't draft him. It is very, very difficult to gauge kids at such a young age. I'm just going to go through the list for Craig Button, because he's pretty good at it. Jack Hughes, he still has at 1. Kakko at 2. He has Byram at 3. Kirby Dak, Dak is going at 4. He was 5 on the last one. Cole Caulfield is now up to 5th. He was 8th on the last mock draft that was done by TSN. He has moved up a lot. So he's a right winger, USA National Team Development Program. Cozens is down to 6th on this one, so he'd go to Detroit. Boldy would end up going to Buffalo. Zagra would go to Edmonton. Turcotte would go to Anaheim. And if Turcotte goes to Anaheim, that's a steal for Anaheim. And then number 10, according to this, would be Philip Broberg, who would work for the Canucks. He'd be a Swedish defenseman. I think we've had 1 or 2 Swedish defensemen in Vancouver before. I think it's a scenario we're well learned on. But it's got Podkolzin going all the way down at 13. And on the last mock draft that TSN did, they had Podkolzin at 6th. But again, a lot of drafts had him going as high as 3rd as well. So, some guys are dropping. But Arthur Kaliev from Hamilton, they've got him up at 12th. He was 18th on the last one. Raphael Lavoie going to Montreal at 15. I've said for a while that I think if Montreal could find themselves a Quebec-born player to come in and be that sort of star, I think you connect with the fans. I think it could be a really good story there, just finding the right, and that's the problem, is finding the right one. They've drafted some, but it's finding the right one. So maybe this is the year. 17 would be Vegas, Soderstrom, Newhook. And then once you get into 21, from 21 on, it's craziness. They have Spencer Knight, for people who are wondering, what about the first goaltender? Craig Button has Spencer Knight going 22nd overall to the LA Kings. And if the LA Kings drafted another goaltender, that really wouldn't be a horrible idea either. Then you have Peterson, you'd have Knight, Campbell, and Quick is still the veteran holding things down. So it is a very tumultuous year for the draft, and I expect that to remain the case. We had that mock draft. I intend to do my own mock draft close to the draft, and this is part of the reason why, is because it's such a volatile year. It really is. It is such a volatile year, and it feels like you've got your top two, and then everything else is just, we'll wait and see. Although Bowen Byram's getting pretty firmly entrenched into that number 3 spot, and it would be nice to see a member of the Vancouver Giants playing for the Vancouver Canucks, but I just don't see how the Canucks could get that number 3 pick. And no, Mason Raymond, Raymond Ballard in a first isn't going to do it. And yeah, that's an old joke. Anyways, there you go. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. And remember, the draft is getting closer than we might think. It is a little over a month away. Yeah, we're a little over a month from the draft, and then we get into free agency. And then before you know it, we're talking about training camp. Hockey's basically a 12-month thing. That's how I'm able to do videos 12 months a year, in part. I'm able to do videos 12 months a year for a lot of reasons, but part of it is because there's always something going on. So, let me know your thoughts, as always. I'll talk to you again soon.